Welcome back. I'm the Watch King. On this video, we're going to be talking about silver. We're going to talk about why is silver not great to buy, especially in retail situations. We're going to talk about the quality of sterling silver. It's mostly about sterling silver today. And just, what I see from people, what I see when they want to trade it in. I've had 3 clients in the past 2 months try to trade me silver, and it's just crazy what they've paid, and we're going to talk a bit about it in this video. So without further ado, let's hop straight into it. Jumping right into it, I want to go through a few things. So this is what inspired this on top of everything. This is a chain sold by a third party, basically. This third party, I don't know how to explain this type of store. Massive stores all over the United States. I don't want to just, call out this one store, but I think you know what I'm kind of talking about. It's a store that sells clothes from, medium to slightly high-end brands. Sometimes the clothes are made for these type of stores. They're sort of like outlet stores, but not really an outlet. And sometimes not, right? Sometimes they're just discounted clothes. Sometimes when a brand goes bankrupt, they sell all their inventory at a place like this. So this is mass production. Probably, I would think an average person just buying their first silver chain or just getting into jewelry would buy something like this. I'll be honest, I bought my very first watch from this exact store, so I can't be that mad at this store. And honestly, it's really the management who does buying for this. It's a massive, massive company throughout the United States, and there's a few of them like it, right? They sell discounted clothes, brand new, right? It's not vintage or anything like that, right? This chain is brand new from today. So why is this chain so garbage? Why is this chain just completely awful, the quality? Well, if you look at it like this, there's little holes, and the camera isn't picking it. Yeah, there you can see it on there. And they're little holes to, I guess, make it seem like there's diamonds on there. Very tacky, right? But that's not the biggest deal. The biggest deal is you pick it up, the links are so thin, and just very fragile, right? This is going to bend. This is going to break. This is something that will last you, maybe if you're lucky, a couple months, right? Extremely thin, and it just feels cheap on you. Like, I put it on just because I could, right? I bought it for the video, and just to explain, there is a pendant. I was thinking of putting it on, but honestly, I don't know. It's just something that's like very uncomfortable to wear. It nips at your hairs. It's just not high quality. The problem I have with this is it's marketed as high end, and the price of it is just high end. I'll show you what the tag that came with it. It says sterling silver, Mattiano, and it says, butchered probably that name, but Italian men's jewelry, and then it says the inches on the back, right? A little faux leather, trying to make it look like it's expensive. And it's marketed as this, high-end piece. They try to charge $70. It was marked all the way down to $20 on this particular piece. We're going to talk about price and what I sell things for and what I buy things for, just because I'm very transparent on the channel. So just garbage. When I looked into what I had, right, and I had a piece like this. I have a few of these, bought these back a while back, and this is made in Italy, right? But the quality of this rope chain is super high end. This will last you. This is genuinely a great quality, and I guarantee you, both of these pieces are made fully by machine. Not one human hand has touched the piece there, and not one human hand, I bet you, has not touched this one either, right? This rope chain. The clasp is just so much easier, better to use, well, just machine better. And you can see it. Like, you can see the quality difference if you're, even just looking at it like this is just flimsy. It sounds horrible on. It sounds like tinny because of the way the links are. And I know that they do that because they want to be cheap. That's 100%. They want to make it as cheap as possible in the biggest look. Here, they're not looking at that so much. They weigh the same, as I said, but this is genuinely a higher quality piece. What we have here, continuing on, is the first one of the handmade era, right? This is high premium compared to these two, but you're getting something handmade. And I'm guessing it's from the 60s or 70s. It's a vintage piece. You have no hallmarks, right? On these, you have hallmarks by the clasp. Right here, it says Italy on one side here, and then it says 925 if the camera wants to focus for this, but there it says 925. You can make it out in Italy. Same thing on the other one, it says Italy 925, right? These are all, as I said, stamp, all machine. This is just so cheap, and you can even like see the clasp. It's like this clasp. It doesn't fold. It's just awful, 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 awful. Way better on the rope, but here you could see it's not really stamped. There's a stamping in the clasp. This is something I genuinely think is made by hand. The way the links are, the way it's machined, or not machined, but I should say handmade. The way that it's been filed down genuinely feels like a handmade piece. And something like this demands more because it's just, in my opinion, it's just way nicer of a piece. Now we're going to go back to the last fully machined piece. We have a piece here that is a Rolex link. It needs specialty machines, as you can see here, because of the way it is. It's not like the other two chains where they're mass production. I bet you it is mass production, but it's not on the scale as the other ones, right? 925, and there you go, right? So that's a beautiful chain, and it has gold plating throughout on the middle link to make it like a two-tone bracelet. Let's go to the second to last piece. This is a Tiffany & Co. Tiffany & Co. They're famous for their silver and their rings, but Tiffany, sad to say it, this is made by machine. I bet you anything. The chain, even though this is vintage, I bet you anything it is made. And nowadays it's even more. I bet the pendant's handmade here on this one because it's from the 70s and 80s. But the other one, this might be actually 90s, but the newer stuff, honestly, a lot of it's made by machine. And the reason they charge so much is because of the name, which we all know, right? They're not the only brand, right? Tiffany, a lot of people dog on Tiffany. Louis Vuitton is just awful what they do. And it's not awful because they built the brand, right? It's their name. It is what it is. But the margins, I mean, it's crazy, right? And I'm trying to give great deals to people and explain things about, Louis Vuitton bag really only costs $50 to make. They're selling it to you for $3,000, right? Buy something at least you can have some value in. And recently with the tariffs, a lot of Chinese manufacturers are coming out and saying, we're making these bags. We're doing this, and it's making headlines. We all knew this before, but now it's really making headlines. A brand that is not outsourced to China and is this is an actual high-end brand. We very rarely see brands like this, and that's why there's such a cult following for chrome hearts. Very rare, as I said, right? This has nothing got to do with LVMH, nothing got to do, Tiffany is owned by LVMH. They really are a big, huge conglomerate. What they do is handmade stuff, really all in Los Angeles. These are made by master craftsmen of jewelry. And you can just tell these are handmade, high quality on these chrome hearts. Now, is it worth $4,000? That's for somebody to decide, right? To me, I'm selling it, so, I bought it at an absurd price also. But you know what? It is what it is, and I saw it, and I saw the craftsmanship, and, I pulled the trigger because it was a great deal to, pass on to you guys, right? And honestly, mine's one of the cheapest out there at $4,000, so just crazy. We're going to talk a little bit about markups, right? Now, with a gold chain, like a rope chain, for instance, a normal markup is 50 to 100% from a wholesaler such as me, right? So, if you put it on the scale and let's say a gold chain weighs $300, or, for instances, we'll just make it $100, right? It's impossible, but let's say for $100, I would sell it between 150 and 200 as a wholesaler, to another store, or personally, if I have great clients, I would give it to them for around that price. Typically double melt, right? But it depends. If it's made fully by machines, it's cheaper than that, right? And the smaller the chain, on gold, the more margin there'll be. So is silver, right? But that's just how, actually, a little different. Yeah, but I would say the same on silver too. So it's slightly different because if it's made by machine versus hand, it's different too. So the reason I brought these silver American Eagles, ignore I like the ones that are different. So I have a plated one and a hand painted one over here. But this is a good way to graph what the margin. So these trade for about $4 over spot. On a percentage basis, it's typically around like 7% over, depending on what it is. And that is, you can't buy anything really for 7% or something like that over. Typically, actually, the rounds are a lot less. It depends really what the spot price is, of course, on that too. So, but forget the whole thing. These, the silver spot price is based on what 1 ounce of silver is. Pure. These are both pure silver, right? Even though there's gold plating, it's still pure 1 ounce underneath. And here too, so these are 1 ounce pure. All of what else you see on the table is 92.5%, 925 sterling. What that means is it's 7.5% less pure than the coins. So when you do calculations, a lot of people do it on pure silver, and I've seen even like jewelry people getting in to selling when they start with silver, they calculate it at this price. That's not the price. These are actually less pure. But anyway, getting to the point, they're less pure, so you have to do a separate, you have to do a sterling calculation. And something like this, right, they're both around $10 or so in the melt value. This I would be embarrassed to sell. I'm not going to sell this chain right here, right? I would just fully be embarrassed somebody got that. But this rope, absolutely not. It's a great chain. A retail store, if I had a brick and mortar, would typically charge, I would say about 80. Maybe you can get a deal like closer to 50, but typically, I mean, I high-end, jewelry stores with the shop and everything, they charge between like 80 and $100 for retail, right? It's worth 10. If you go to a gold chain, of course, and you're buying it for 150, very similar, and the melt's worth 100, as our example, you would buy it for 150 and get 100 back. So the margin is just way, the spread is way back, right? And typically that's just the case, right? But the gold typically is like 1,000, right? And you're paying 1,500, right? That's typically what you see with gold. You find if you get a gold chain, it's $100. It'll be like the thinnest thing. You barely even see it. Here's a different story also, right? This is something that probably, the silver value is $30 to $40. This probably trades for a couple, maybe 3, 5, I wouldn't say $500, but it's just really cool. It's handmade in like $300 area, right? That's what I would assume something like this trades, because you don't see it anymore. It's a vintage piece. It's everything like that. Same thing here, right? You don't see these type of things. If you want it, somebody was going to pay $150, $200. Maybe the silver values like, again, around that $30 mark. And that's just because, it's jewelry. You want to wear it. This is not an investment. I tell everybody, don't buy this stuff as an investment. Wear it to enjoy. If you want to invest in things, buy stuff like this, right? You know what you're buying. It's very transparent. Unless you're buying from a shop, I went to a coin shop, my very first getting into the hobby with jewelry. I was first into jewelry, and then I got a loan to coins recently. And they told me that they sell me, they sell me stuff at coins at spot or a little above, and then they buy it back 20% below spot. So now I know, oh my God, I used to think that's not a bad deal, right? Because I used to deal with stuff like this, right? Now, I mean, I'm different. I'm a wholesaler, but I'm used to these margins where people buy it and so forth. And of course, the prices I'm talking are like for retail clients in most stores. What I sell it for is a lot less on the jewelry side. But these, what you have. You can easily look up the silver spot price. American Eagles, I mean, they're faked, so you have to make sure they're good. You're buying it from a reliable source, or you test it. There are certain ways to do that, x-rays and so forth. But you just make sure you're buying from a reliable source. And this is the easiest way. even this, to be honest with you, is not the greatest investment, I would say. A lot of people might hate me on that. But you know what? You're paying, you know, whatever premium, 7, 10, whatever. It used to be like way more than that for Eagles or whatever. You have to wait till the spot price goes above that and well above that, right? Because you're buying it for $4. Let's say it goes up $4. On the Eagles, some people might pay you $1 over. That's just something they might do, but on other coins, it's just hard. The price, unless you find a great shop that has, if gold or silver goes up 7 points or 7%, for instance, you're breaking even, and then above that. But silver doesn't move like that, and believe it or not, I looked it up. Most people that invest in bullion actually take a loss. So that just shows you, it's a store of wealth, yes, but buy this to make sure you need to sell it. You're in a financial situation, and we've gone over silver versus stocks in a couple of videos ago. So go watch that one if you're interested in silver versus the stock market. And we also compared it to paper money. So that's just a great one. If you're interested in any of this, you can always reach out to me. If you're interested in the watches, which I like to inform, you can go to thewatchkingofficial.com down in the description below, and you can get that. If you enjoy this content and just want more of the jewelry, let me know down in the comments and like it, please. So yeah, I mean, I'm just transparent. I want to be transparent with people. It's enough of the BS, right? If somebody's buying this for $70, and I genuinely would melt this, if I'm paying melt, by the way, refiners typically, the normal thing for refiners to pay like 85 to 90% in silver, because there has to do a lot of work for a little bit of money. So they don't even pay that well. And that's for wholesale refiners. You have to have a business license. You have to fill out forms. This is like a legit dealers, right? So this is just something that's crazy to me, just because the quality sucks so much, right? It's just so awful. These I get why somebody would pay it. And like anything in life, like a high-end bag that's handmade, as I said, right? Or the chrome hearts. There's a brand behind it, but the quality's there and you're going to buy it. This is just crap quality for retail pricing, right? At that $70 mark. So stick around. We're going to talk about more about gold. And maybe I'm wrong about silver. Maybe, silver's going to shoot up. Some people are saying we're going to get to 150 an ounce. Right now it's $32. So imagine, it would be incredible to see, because I have some silver in the bank, but not, I'm more of a believer in gold in the stock market. But you can see that in my other video. So I want to thank you again. And I can't wait to hear your comments on this one. Have a great day.